So it may seem very cryptic, the subject matter, how it correlates to anything, but really what I'm discussing in these videos is the fact that a thought, a sub-thought, an action, a deed, if you will, has a specific direction, and it's from the core or the intent of a specific location. And if you were to literally track people and try and create a sort of sigil out of their day, most people have a tendency to behave the same way, do the same things, and are coached by a group of people that many aren't even aware of that they are following, until finally one day they realize upon self-reflection that they have been signing, they have been creating these sigils, these symbols their entire lives. There are some esoteric truths that are very deeply embedded into the human condition, such as we think that we can just go on a vacation and fly across the country or drive to work, but not until you take the action of what I would refer to as these like Max Planck longs is what I call them. And it's basically your 2 feet, your appendages, your hands. What are you capable of producing? And the reality is that if you are not backed by an energy of the same like birds of a feather flock together, you aren't supported. And that's why so many people seem to be lethargic, even anemic, no energy, would love to be able to work on some things, but it just seems like it's just so far over their heads. We need to begin with the beginning. We need to start at the core. We need to focus on whether or not we are vying for and believe in purity, or the adverse, where we think that nothing can be pure, and therefore all steps that we take from that point are going to result in what you see here on this next sigil, which is the antiprinciple. And you would think that by removing the ego and hailing one ego, that would be a positive thing. But you are supposed to have a balanced, healthy ego that is the yellow sphere of ego, and the expression of that is supposed to go right back into this entire series and a system that I've only depicted this as a broad scope image of what a monad might look like, what a complete integer might look like, what that monad that phi count starts with. Remember, phi looks back and says 1. That's the first count. And there's no way that phi could even look back and count 0 as a 1. So that's your first clue. There's a repeat. And what phi is this existential Metatron's cube. And that is another thing that's occurred where there is a blatant war and disregard for Metatron's cube when you look at the tree of life. Here you have Metatron's cube here, right? You've got Metatron's cube, you've got this perfect 6 spheres, the 7th in the middle, but that's, as I go through this in EPL, that is 8. And then you have this addition of this cross, the people hanging on the cross, which is this addition of 4, which is people are being sacrificed, energy is being rerouted, and it is an occult ritual. It's an apport, an egregore, a tulpa. When your focused energy goes into something with a collective mind, there is going to be conscious results.